a lot of times I get called a director of a golf meeting. They'll call me the tournament director, and they want to ask me golf questions and are wondering if this is my full-time business. So things just kind of happened around me because I really enjoy it. And what I really enjoy about it is helping the kids at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. It means the world to me to help the children when they're involved in a situation that they simply can't control. And that's just simply what I do in life. I'm the person who takes care of it, which is why I frequently get hired as a financial advisor, because they know no matter what's going on, Angie will take care of it. Let's go back and let's roll back to like April of this year. My golf tournament has been rolling, and this year is the 14th annual event. Sue Smith got to be there as a volunteer and worked one of the busiest jobs, which is the By Chance at Hole 1. So thank you again, Sue. That was an exhausting day.
It was my pleasure. It was awesome.
So glad that you were there. This year, after knowing how this goes, after understanding and having this many events behind me, I know how to make it happen. In April, I really had to assess the situation, and I didn't think we were going to be able to do it. You know, we all thought we were going to stay home for the quarantine for a few weeks. It was a strange idea most of us have never experienced before, and I thought we'd be out. And when we weren't, I didn't know how it was going to affect. And I realized as a financial advisor the cash crunch that it was going to put my sponsors in. So I didn't know that people could or would have extra assets to commit to charity. Last year, 2019, we raised $46,000 in a robust economy, and things are just running hard. This year, I didn't know what was going to happen or if I could even get sponsor participation. I thought about it, I talked about it, and I got a couple of calls that gave me a push in the right direction. So the first thing I wanted to do was, let's make sure the worst case scenario wasn't going to happen, which was I come out with a negative cost event, an event that didn't create any profits, but an event that went backwards. And if it goes backwards, it's my pocketbook on the line. In doing so, I went and I called a few of our sponsors and saw how their business going. My largest sponsor is Mellow Mushroom. My first phone call to Mellow Mushroom was, look, Angie, we don't know. We're just trying to cover payroll right now. And that's as PPP was rolling out. So I'm thinking, great. I don't know if I had that. I stored up a couple of other sponsors from big enough companies that thought they had cash in reserve. As you know, Mellow Mushroom pivoted quickly and went to curbside pickup and delivery. And even during a lot of this in the summer, they were running at full capacity, most of their stores. As we kept shoring up people throughout the summer and making sure they could do it, and the plans kept changing. And I think the hardest thing for me was to start an event. I didn't know how it was going to go. I didn't know. Usually I know how I'm going to make this happen, and I certainly did not. And how I thought I was going to make it happen kept changing and morphing as different things fell through and different things picked up. One of the best things I did was surround myself with good people with the advisory board. And the advisory board is a team of professionals, all on a volunteer basis, that use their connections and their wherewithal to ask for money for children's health care and sponsorships and create the team. I stayed in touch with my advisory board, and I kept asking them, who are you meeting with? What are you doing? Are they able to be a sponsor? The year just kind of kept playing out, and we got legs underneath it. It started going better, and the tournament started to come together a little later than I expected in September, but it was coming together, and it was going to be okay. About a week and a half before the event, we started flirting with the idea that we were going to meet and possibly beat last year's check of $46,000, which is, couldn't believe it. Not in this environment. I could not believe it. I kept pushing ahead and kept telling people, do you realize that 46,000 mark, that is in sight? And I kept talking to the people around me and on my advisory board so they could share that. And you know what? By keeping it in front of them, sending emails often, sharing each other's success, they realized, hey, people are saying yes out there. So they kept asking. Within about 4 days, I knew we were going to meet the $46,000. And so I started eyeballing, oh my God, could we break 50? Could we break 50? As we kept getting closer the night before the event, I had my eyeballs set on a number. And my number was $52,000. I thought if we did everything we did on the course, that we could raise probably another $3,000, and we could come out at $52,000, which I thought would be just incredible. One of the things I didn't realize was how impactful we usually have a children's health care family that comes and speaks at the call to cards. And this year we had an incredibly impactful family. As they shared the story of their daughter they had with them, there wasn't a dry eye in place. Everybody wanted to do what they could to help. The additional thing that I had in my favor was COVID. And how do you have COVID in your favor? This should not work favorably for anybody, right? Well, with COVID, a lot of people have not been traveling. They've got some pent-up cash. They certainly had some pent-up fun because they needed to have a great time at the event. They were pretty much burnt out on the election, and everybody was just wanting to let go and have a great time. The event was just robust. The momentum they had going out onto the course was amazing. And when we wrapped up the day, and I got home on Monday and counted the money on Tuesday, believe it or not, we came up with a whopping $60,000 for this event. So when you're on LinkedIn, go to Golf for the Kids and be a friend of the event and watch, because on Giving Tuesday, the Tuesday after Thanksgiving, we'll be giving over the big check to Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, valued at $60,000. And when you set your goals, number one, change them and always change them up. As you start to meet your goals, do not relax. As you start to meet your goals, start thinking creatively about what's the next goal after this. The next thing is do not stop being positive, because the people around you honestly watch and feel what's going on with you. And if you think it's going to crash, it will. But if you talk to people about what is great, what can happen, and what can be, people like to help. And if you ask people not to sell for you, not to this for you, but to help you, most people are going to step up to the plate and try to help and give your assistance. This has been, an incredible year and an incredible example of how not to lean back. When you start reaching your goal, don't relax, just lean forward. We have an all-new standard that we're going to have to beat next year. So having exceeded our goals won't only help us this year, but it will help us in the future. It's going to put more money on the bottom line of what we give to Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, which at the end of the day is all that matters for us. And so I really appreciate you guys dialing in. I'd love to open it up to the field and take some questions and hear your thoughts it offers some insights into goal setting. Is everybody asleep or in their jammies?
I love.
No, we're not asleep. So Angie, thank you for sharing that. I mean, you know, so I already know. I'm like, gosh, she's going to be beating us over the head next year to beat 60,000. Anyway, I want to open it up.
So you go ahead and you start figuring out who can you ask. Who can you ask, and how are you going to make it happen?
Yeah. I want to allow the people on the team to ask you questions, as you know, as to what you did. I mean, you gave the high level overview, but I want to open it up if anyone has any questions on your prospecting, how many phone calls you made in a day to get to. You said, oh, I called up, but you made, I know, tons of calls.
Mm-hmm. I think the most important part is when you make a call is being happy at the other end. How would you like it, Karen, if your phone rang, you looked down and you saw it was Angie, and I was like, oh dear God, we've got to get this done. This is what's going wrong, and this is what's going whatever.
Hey,
you would
Angie,
not be enthused.
how did you formulate
Yes,
a plan? How did you formulate a plan, and what were your targets in going after, you know, your largest contributors or even your smaller contributors? What was your kind of opening statement?
Can I tell you something? One of the things you got to accept is you do not know how people are going to respond to you. I don't know how, you know, anything, Sue, except that you're great, about your situation. So when I'm coming in with an ask, I don't know, do you have any extra money for charities? Is that in your budget? Is it not in your budget? Are you already committed to something else? Maybe you're, you know, given a grant to St. Jude. There are a lot of great reasons that awesome people say no, right? When you go into it, you don't know what somebody's going to say. And the first thing you need to recognize is whatever their response is not about you. I got a lot of no's, and a lot of no's was simply because people did not know what was going to go on in COVID environment, and they didn't know if they were going to have free cash or not. I was talking to people in the spring, and I found out why, and I asked permission to call them back. And when I called them back in September, they were more confident about how their business had opened up, the amount of cash that they had, and some of them backed off their sponsorships, but still sponsored. So being open to letting things happen in the way they need to.
Awesome. Thank you.
And, you know, calling somebody cold is hard. You know, just calling out of the blue, it's hard to get a yes on that just because no one wants to listen to you. No one has time. But if you call them cold, then you can say, can I call you back? And going ahead and warming it up by getting an appointment to talk to them. So, you know, I talked to you today. It's Wednesday morning at 8:15. Is there a better time to speak to you? And you said, yeah, Thursday afternoon is a better time for me. So we set up Thursday at 3, and just approaching people and asking for a chance to approach you again under your conditions and under your terms oftentimes helps when you're on the phone.
That's a really good point. We're going to hear a lot of that as we make our calls today for our national call day. That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. I thought that was a great point.
But just say, I probably, if your phone rang right now, what would be going on? You'd be in a meeting, and you don't know what's going on in those people's lives, what they're trying to get through. And COVID has made things pretty tight and pretty hard on people as they're dealing with kids at home, what's going on in their office space. They've got, team meetings where they're sitting at their desk, but they're not available. Just asking and finding a time that works for them. What else do we got?
So I'm going to flip over to your day job. How many cold calls on average? I got to ask you this. How many cold calls on average do you make a day?
In the beginning of my practice, I've been doing financial advisory work for the last 27 years in Atlanta. And I do not do many cold calls at all now. In the beginning, we did 150 to 200 calls a day. And in the date myself, mid-90s, cold calling and stuff was a lot more acceptable than what it is right now. And people don't accept cold calls on a personal nature nearly as well as you do in a business environment when someone's talking to you something about the business. So most of the people you guys are calling are, a specific title at a company.
Yeah, it's B2B.
Yeah. So that's a little bit easier than to call you up and ask you about your personal financial situation, which is just pretty daunting. Never liked doing it, but was very good at doing it because one of the things about it was you have to recognize it's just not personal. Back in the day, we got some pretty bad responses, and instead of responding to them with anger or upset, I responded to them with humor, which it sometimes was less well received than an angry comeback. But making something funny and outrageous and keeping the call going and just practicing skill sets on the phone. Back in the day, there was a woman that I worked with, let's just say her name was Sally. She was outrageous and she became very successful in the industry. And she and I sat in adjacent cubes. We started out in these little cubes, and as your production would increase, at the end of each year, the office would have fruit basket turnover. And whatever your production number was for the year, we started, each of the offices were numbered for the number one person, the number two, the number three, and on, as far as what your production was. And so the first week of January, everybody moved their office around. And based on your production, you got a better office seat. And each year you had the opportunity to move back and you had the opportunity to move forward. Some people say that's brutal, and yeah, it was, but it also taught you to accept good years and bad years and recognize that whoever was sitting in one of the top office spaces, you had an equal chance of being there because of your production. And also the thought of moving backwards and going back to maybe a small cube definitely kept you working hard not to do it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I've been in production for a while. Now I always try to make a call warm. And even if Karen called me up and said, hey, Angie, I know somebody. I was talking to them just the other day. They've got something going on in their financial situation. And I told them that you would be a good person to talk to. Number one, I asked for an introduction, that Karen sends an email introduction between me and the other person so that they can read it on their own time, not on mine, right? I didn't set a time for them to sit down and read emails. I'm the one, Karen, when we do this, I asked Karen, I was like, Karen, in your email, I want you to say, Angie, please get in touch with, let's just call Angie, please get in touch with Joe and talk to him. So Karen has given me permission to call and to see if I can help. She hasn't asked Joe to reach out and call me. He shouldn't have to initiate the process. I'm the one that's selling, and I'm the one that should initiate the process, and that helps me stay in control. So when Karen told me to, I'm just doing what Karen asked. So the next thing I do is I say, oh, God, Karen, thank you for thinking about me when you met with Joe. hey, Joe, this is Angie. This is what I do. And I don't know when's going to be good for you. I've got these times coming up in the next 2 days. Are any of them a good time to reach out? What will work in your schedule? I don't say, do you want to speak to me? Because he will just say, no, send. But what will work for you? Not, it won't work. I'm already assuming that he's going to take my call as long as it's situated at a time that will suit his schedule. So I keep setting myself up very politely to win, to get what I want. And the other part that I tell Karen, and you know what? Tell Joe if he takes my call. And, you know, really nicely, I will ask for his business. If we sit down, we do a complimentary appointment, and I find out that I can help him, I will ask him for his business. And the worst response I've ever gotten is a no thank you. So if Joe decides he doesn't want to work with me, he's welcome to say no thank you. A lot of Joe's resistance goes down when he finds out he's not going to get chased for the next 6 months by a financial advisor about his personal business if he can cut off the chase by just saying no thank you.
So I want you to freeze
I give him
that.
an out and I'm going to
So Angie, I want you to hold your thought for a minute. I want everyone to hear this. We have, what you just said was great. We have got to provide the assist when we can for a warm introduction. And a lot of times if we're farming our LinkedIn and we see that Kareem is linked in with somebody that can help Gus, then Gus, you should ask Kareem, hey, I see you're connected to so-and-so. Can you give me an introduction? That is, we're doing something now, Angie, where we're being very focused on our prospecting efforts. And that is what I am in the, gosh, I run out of time in the day. I'm trying to look down that list and go, who do I know in this account that I can say, hey, so-and-so, will you, I'm going to have such and such get in touch with you. It's referral selling. And it's, you're right, it's very specific. I did it last night with something where I said, I'm not doing this. I asked one of our partners, so-and-so will follow up with you on this. I mean, it's subtle, but it's a warm call, and it's like an assist in basketball. We've got to start doing more of that. Does that make sense to everybody? Just do a little hand raise if it does. You can just click on the little hand up there if it makes sense to you. All right, thanks, Emil. All right, good. All right, we just got to start doing that. Thanks everybody for playing along.
Yeah, and the other thing I'd like to tell you what does a real good job, what I'm doing when I'm on a call, and sometimes you just end up in a chase. I don't like chasing. I don't like calling somebody and leaving messages or sending emails or continuing to follow up and not get results. Call it. Make yourself wake up one day, look on your calendar and decide when it's going to be. You're going to go through your call list and it's going to be fish or cut bait day. And you're going to find out, are they going to fish or are they going to cut bait? And if they don't say yes, you can't waste your time and spend all your day chasing around leads that aren't going to close. And you can think you've cultivated a list of people that might take your calls, but they're never going anywhere. And you need to call out that and go to the more uncomfortable new calls. But step fish or cut bait day and thin out the list that you're speaking to and ask people either if they're going to move ahead or if they're not. And if you're not, that's okay. And that's what I would tell people. If you're not, that is okay. And then you're really going to have to honestly let it be okay when you take them off your list.
Angie, thank you so much. I hate to cut this conversation short. Will you type your information into the chat for us in case somebody may want to reach out to you. Somebody may want to cold call you or something. I don't know, but if you,
I don't know. Let's see, what is it? What is it? Okay, this is Teams. What is the chat?
the chat, if you look at the toolbar, it's that little, it says, it looks like a talking cloud. It's usually next to the hand. I'll tell you what.
Conversation. Hey.
You see it?
Here's my email.
Okay, great. And then once you're done, hit the arrow. Thank you. We got it.
There you go, and that is my cell phone. So if any of y'all, and times right now are challenging. Everybody's going through change, and I'm sure each and every one of you, your household is changing. Whether you're hitting your numbers or whether you're not, different things are moving around. What's going on within your family life? If you guys have questions or concerns about finances, I'm a comprehensive financial planner, and I'm happy to give you a 30-minute free phone call about whatever you got on your mind.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. That's really,
you all should
nice.
Take her up on that. Angie, we've got to hop on another call.
Thank you.
So
right.
you guys.
Thank you, Angie.
Thank you so
We'll reach
much.
out to you on LinkedIn for sure.
Thank you, Emil.
Yes, thank you, Angie. It was great.
And like I said, really, you're more than welcome to call. Send me an email and let's find a time that works for you.
Thanks,
Bye,
ladies.
guys.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.